Carlos and Lisa, live.
Live.
Good to see you. Hi.
Lisa Remillard, Carlos and Mesqua with you here on BeondTV, also on YouTube Live. What a day, huh?
Yeah.
This is a big day. The day after the big mess in Iowa. Oh my gosh.
What? I mean, you would think. I mean, it wasn't a surprise that the caucus was coming. Like, it wasn't a total surprise.
No.
Like, everybody knew it was coming. How did they not have the app right?
Well, they obviously, they test these things.
No, they actually didn't test that.
Well, but they test it internally, and then they go, we're ready, and then you go out and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The Shadow app, as it's called, was created by some Democrats who were funded in part by the Democrat Party, but still, it's not a political thing. It's a functional thing of this app that didn't function the way it was supposed to. Look, I've told you before, I've been to some of these caucuses, participated in one, where you hand out little pieces of paper and everybody puts their candidate on there, and then the captain will say, I'm for so-and-so candidate, and the group all agrees with me that these are the 5 things that this candidate has, and you should vote for our candidate. So you try to convince, and people move from one side of them to the other. It's all done. It's all very easy.
Yeah.
It's boring as heck sometimes, and very tedious. But at the end, there's a paper trail, and then you have a result, and that result gets delivered.
In. That was the old way.
Gets delivered. You either phone it in, or you walk it to a precinct receptor area, and then they count the ballots, and then you see the winners. And they decided to get fancy with an app.
Right. And then, of course, the app went down. And so here we are the day after, and still no results from Iowa. In fact, what they're saying now, the latest was we'll get half, a little more than 50% of the results by 4 p.m. Central. What's that our time? Central. 2
It would be 1 o'clock? No, 1 o'clock.
2.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock our
they're
time.
2 hours ahead, yeah.
But still, 50% of the results from last night, that means
yeah.
What about 100% of they were supposed to have the results last night at like 9.
So much for the Iowa springboard to New Hampshire.
Jeez.
And this is the thing, so
all the candidates have moved
on,
by the way.
Buttigieg is saying, I won. Bernie says, no, I won. I mean, these guys don't know who won.
And Biden was out there last night saying it's going to be a great night for us.
It's going to be a great night for Biden.
It's like,
so who knows? I mean, this is crazy. I don't know what they're going to do in New Hampshire, if they're going to do.
Well, it's a primary, so it's just like a regular. It's not a caucus in New Hampshire,
caucus
so it doesn't matter. I mean, they'll do it the regular way they always do it. Hopefully, they will have results.
Does this spell disaster for Iowa for the future elections? I mean, who knows?
Well.
You got to figure this out.
I was listening to KNX last night. They did a big in-depth on Iowa and how they do this and the problems with the apps. And what they were saying is, normally in big primaries that's run by the state. When it's like an actual election, it's run by the state. So kind of but these caucuses are run by like private organizations.
Yeah, just people, ordinary
voters.
So
it's not like they have all this money, and it's not like it's fully funded by all these. So this app was an attempt to move into the new age.
Yeah, just make it easier.
But they hadn't really flushed out
all the
kinks,
that's,
right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that what happens to everybody, though? But you would think that they would have worked that out because this is such a big deal, and because Iowa does this so early, and they are the first to do it, and like, come on.
And
guys.
honestly, these 4 candidates, Pete Buttigieg,
Warren, Sanders,
Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden, are all very close.
Right.
There's not like, I know they keep saying one day, Bernie Sanders way ahead in California, we hear that. But is he way ahead in Iowa? Is he way ahead in New Hampshire? We don't know. He probably will do really well in New Hampshire because that's his area. But it's interesting that the bellwether, the stuff that forecasts what will happen down the road in the selection process is not as clear as mud this morning.
Totally.
I mean, it's a real mess.
Totally. It's a real mess. So as you said, New Hampshire's next. I think it's 7 days, like in a week or so. So we'll be watching all of that.
State of the Union is tonight.
State of the Union is tonight. So
what do you think the president's going to say?
So here's the thing. So I was reading about this because he talked about it during the pre-Super Bowl interview.
Yeah.
He talked about the theme of this speech is going to be the great American comeback. He's going to talk about the tax cuts and all of the good that his administration, he says, has done, and call for kind of perhaps more tax cuts. Now the question is, all of the Republicans in the Senate have said, Mr. President, tomorrow, we are going to be voting on this
Yeah,
impeachment.
we're acquitting
We're
you.
gonna do our best to
Try to
acquit
behave
you.
yourself.
So please keep it down. So don't talk about the impeachment. Don't talk about the vote. Don't talk about the witch hunt. Just
Yeah.
quietly do your speech and let us acquit you. Like, that's what the Republicans allegedly have been telling the president. So whether or not,
You remember the last one he gave? He didn't go off script.
Correct.
He paused in a few places just to give it a little bit of emphasis because he likes to be freewheeling. But if he sticks to his script, I bet his speech will be very well written, very well thought out, and I think he's learned how to deliver these things a little better than perhaps he did in former times. The speech itself is not going to be the centerpiece of this, I predict.
Okay.
The centerpiece will be the Democrats and the Republicans watching that little show where he says, our economy is up 45%, and the Republicans are standing up and cheering, and the Democrats are. So does that mean the Democrats don't want the economy to be robust? Unemployment among blacks is now, whatever it is, 3%, the lowest ever.
And I feel like they will
How
clap.
can they not clap
They
for that?
will. I mean, I've seen them in the past
So
clap.
that's what I want to see. I want to see the reaction.
That's always a show.
Yeah,
I mean, that's always,
Yeah.
it's such a spectacle,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that is happening our time, 6 o'clock tonight. So you'll see State of the Union, his last of his first term.
Yeah.
How about that? Can you believe that?
Last of his first term? Yeah, you're right.
Crazy, right?
Coming up for re-election in November. It's hard to believe.
Can't believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's happening. That's all the politics happening today.
Yeah.
There's this interesting story that's very California. The governor, I saw it today, and I was talking about it with producer Jackie because I found it to be fascinating.
Yeah.
And I bring
Gavin
it up.
Newsom if you're not in California.
Correct. Yeah. Governor. He is doing. Do you remember your kids and you in like 6th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade having to do like that physical fitness test to just see? So
Yeah, it was the president's physical fitness test. Yeah.
So the governor is trying to do away with those and suspend them because he fears that, or he says that they cause bullying. Because some kids aren't physically fit enough to pass the test, and then down the road they become bullied because they can't do it. And I'm thinking to myself,
this is everybody gets a trophy kind of mentality.
but also we have an obesity epidemic in this country with our children, and perhaps physical fitness tests and knowing exactly where every child is could help that. This is one of those stories that's really interesting.
Hey, I was a roly-poly kid. Let me tell you, from my perspective.
Yeah.
PE was one of my favorite classes, not because, I was always embarrassed to put on the suit and everything. And then eventually I got in really great shape, really, really great shape. But having a PE class showed me, and at least my PE instructors in San Diego were terrific because we
had one too.
They didn't push you beyond your limits. They wanted you to, if you're going to run around the track or the playground or whatever it is, they let you run at your own speed, and everybody got cheered, and you got in there, and it was really great, and it was fun. I think taking that away, or that incentive to exercise, or the incentive to do a little bit of working out in your life, is really kind of a bad idea.
Well, I would be interested. Obviously, there are some psychologists. The governor is getting this from some psychologists that are seeing kids and that are having a lot of, like a mental mental block with this whole physical fitness thing, and they get anxiety about it, and they don't want to be bullied and all of this stuff. And then there's the fitness side of it, where it's like what you're talking about, like, regular exercise is good for
thing.
you.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's interesting. How about Shakira and JLo?
Are we still talking about that?
I don't understand why everybody's all pissed off about it. I cannot wrap my brain around it.
I think as a performance, it was a great performance.
Great performance.
As some of the angles on the TV were a little bit extreme.
That's what.
And if you're a family
Amy
person and you're looking and you're trying to watch with your kids or whatever, you may have been embarrassed by some of the extreme close-ups of JLo's body.
Right. Which agreed. But that's not JLo's fault, and that's not Shakira's fault.
That was a production. That was the way the production was done.
Right? So, to come down on them for it, I think is a problem.
I'm sorry, I'm so old school about this stuff. I've talked to you about this before. What happened to the marching bands? I like the marching bands at halftime. We're going to watch the commercials. They made this Hollywood fixation with having a big show at halftime. Nobody cares. We're all eating. We're all taking our potty
band?
breaks during halftime. Jack Buck and
You are confused.
And then we're talking about the game. Let's get the USC marching band and all the Irish band out there in Stanford to do their thing, and then get out.
Carlos, okay, so look, from a pure marketing perspective, the Super Bowl, the NFL is no dummy. They want to also appeal to the female fans who are not.
Yes, I understand that.
Who are not football fans, but have to get dragged to these Super Bowl parties, and they don't want to. So I know a lot of girls who literally watch the Super Bowl just for the halftime
show. I know.
So marching bands. What kind of nonsense?
And I actually think that the TV's gone over the top. They kind of jumped the shark on
the
football
ads?
games. No,
On
football
the ads?
games. No, the production of football games. It's more like a show than it is a game. I mean, there's so much crap now that surrounds all that. It's like I like the old,
Really?
I like the old stuff.
Carlos.
I'm sorry.
You gotta
Take a look here.
You gotta
the end's going
move with the times, my friend. We're live on YouTube right now. I like the marching bands.
I understand, but I'd prefer a marching band than JLo shaking her booty on TV.
Now, I would not.
I would pay for that in Vegas, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to watch it on my TV during
a
football game.
On TV all day long.
But you know what?
Brava, Shakira and JLo.
I won. I won big in the Super Bowl. I picked the team that was. I picked Joe Montana's ex-team to win.
So you lost miserably.
No, because he played for both teams.
Joe Montana. What?
Joe Montana played quarterback for both the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, he did.
He played for the Chiefs? I thought he was an all-time 49er.
After he left the Niners, he went to the Chiefs.
For what, like one season?
Yeah, it was something like that. I don't know. It didn't matter. He didn't care.
Yeah, at that point, he had so much money, it doesn't matter.
I call it the Joe Montana Bowl.
Okay.
With marching bands.
No more marching band. No, Carlos, this was in 1952.
No more JLo and Shakira shaking their booties.
Shakira. It was so good. I thought it was great. And JLo's little girl came. She's so cute.
I know.
You're confused. All right, we're done. We gotta go. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll talk about the State of the Union later.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow we'll talk about State of the Union. See you next time.